highlight changes from last year, and then there's a couple changes that I'd like to recommend from even the proposed draft that you have. In the very first part there, current property tax, the state revenue sharing fund, we have projected for last year $61,000. And actual through March was 56, and we actually have just recently got the check for 12, so we're at about 68 for the year total. So what I'd like to do, we had, in the proposed draft there, we had 65,000. I'd like to bump that to 67,000. I'm sure we're secure at that. The stuff I've been reading is they're not predicting any big drops for this coming year, so I'd like to bump that to 67,000. If you move down to the interest category, last year we had hoped for $5,000 interest. Our actual was $3,000, and I'd like to recommend $1,500 for this coming year. It's dismal. And that puts our total income in that category at $123,750 with the addition of the revenue sharing.
123,750
instead of 121,750. And then again, and that's the only thing up there that's changed. Revenue for last year on the cemetery was way ahead of what we predicted. We were thinking $400 in entrance fees. We actually hit $1,800. We budgeted $200 in lot sales. We actually hit $1,000. So for this coming year, we're projecting $800 in entrance fees and $400 in lot sales. So that's up substantially. So that leads total revenues in that category now at $124,950 instead of $122,950. Okay, moving on to expenses. Professional services, legal. We had, in this original draft, we had budgeted $10,000. I would like to move that to $20,000. So I've scratched that out, penciled in $20,000 instead of 10. Miscellaneous expense, and Phyllis and I talked about this, and I can't honestly remember what all went into that category, but we were substantially over. So from last year, we had budgeted $4,900, and I'd like to budget $6,000.
A lot of our, well, not insurances, but like our support for like the Jones equalization,
software.
you know, mine with fund balance and all that makes up a big portion of that. But while we're on that, I had spoke to Alice Clark today. I also would like to, out of there, if we have enough extra there, mention that I'd like to see that the committee is getting, the advisory committee is getting paid for postage, reams of paper, envelopes. Maybe Russ needs a, she mentioned an ink cartridge, you know, one or something. If you would like to turn some bills in through this 6 months or
How much are
something.
you thinking?
I don't know, Russ, what do you, $200, $300, $500 for this 6 month period? I mean, what are you contemplating, Andrew?
Don't really know until you
Don't really know.
get into it.
I think we
Let's
have
see
enough
where it goes.
leeway. It can go into the miscellaneous.
Right. That's why I say if we bump it up to 6,000, that gives us quite a bit over last year.
Yeah.
So.
But I just want to mention that I feel we should do that.
So some of that could come out of township. Oh, that would come out of
We'd have to make a
township.
budget adjustment. if it goes.
Yeah.
If we go much over that, but that's, on the next page, really, I don't think there's any drastic changes on the next page over the previous year. That's basically supervisor costs, my costs, Phyllis's border review. No big changes there over last year. Pretty much standard stuff. It doesn't change a lot from year to year. On the third page, we had in about halfway down there, Department 934, Township Repairs was when we were first talking about the church over there, and we had figured maybe 17,000 would do it. I'd like to adjust that up to 21,500. Hopefully that would cover care of the church. Under township repairs. Or, yeah, cemetery, Department 276, then township repairs.
What'd you bump it up to?
21.5.
21.5. That's got all of it, my mother.
And that takes the cemetery costs from 27,000 to 31.5. So then moving down to Department 901, which is transfer fund activity. In the original budget, with the draft here, we had figured that we would slide 12,500 over into the road and bridge fund, but between the additional to the, take care of the cemetery building and the additional to the lawyer, I basically have zeroed that out. So out of the,
Just cross that out.
yeah, out of this year's revenue,
12.5 will be a zero.
out of this year's revenue, we won't be able to slide anything over, and that'll still leave a balance in the general fund of 3,074. The additional revenue, when we've lost those couple items. So basically, we're still in the black.
So it makes this line, and there's,
Yeah, don't ask.
oh,
I didn't total that.
Where, which one?
But it will,
Maybe I didn't.
that total expenditure.
Oh, no, down here. This one? Yeah. no,
Well, actually,
Well,
yeah, actually, we have decent. I think, well, I don't know where it is, but you get that. We gained a little.
We're
we lost
close
a
to
little.
it.
Yeah. And then on page 4, the only big change there, obviously, is Riga Township. We bumped up about, that's, and that, again, now we're in the fire department fund. Basically, we take in 48,000, in between, Metamora and Riga. We spent 45,000, so we have about $3,000 in black in the fire fund. Not a big change from last year, $1,000 extra for Metamora. Or, I'm sorry, for Riga. Yeah. Page 5 just continues to carry over from the old days when we had a municipal improvement fund. It's meaningless. And then the very last page, or I'm sorry, page 6. Again, Department 901 transfer from the general fund to the road and bridge fund to 0. And now we're in the road and bridge fund. So
that's
total,
12,000.
yeah, zero that out. So the total revenues for the road and bridge fund are 152.7, which is basically current property tax, delinquent property tax, interest, and the Metro Act. And so we're at about 152.7
Instead of 160.
instead of 165.2 because there's no transfer, right? Yeah. And again, we always, there's $2,000 contingency in there. We basically spend what we get in the road and bridge fund. So I had originally figured with the transfer, we figured 163,000, but now we're down to 150,500. And that still leaves us $200 in black for the road and bridge fund. While we're on that page, and addressing it separately, but we did talk about taking some money out of reserves, basically. So we thought maybe we could talk about that when we talk about the contracts. 90,000 or so is what we had in that investment fund, so we could potentially put that in there. So that's not reflected in that 150, that's additional money we could probably. And then the last page is just our, basically, again, a bookkeeping thing for our tax collection. So it's basically it. If it makes sense. It's no drastic changes from previous years. Except we've always had enough extra income that we were able to put something in the road and bridge fund.
if we transferred 1 year 50,000, it's 40,000 last year.
Yeah, so.
Rick, one question back on our professional fees that we spent so far this year. Are we going to have to amend our budget this year?
Some of that'll go back on this year.
Yeah, right,
We'll have
because
to
we
make a
spent
budget
3,000 out of
Right.
this
Yeah,
last
it
year's
should be
budget.
mine.
Right, we do need to amend last year's budget on that. Yeah,
So when do we do that? That investment?
probably, we should have done that last meeting, when we paid it.
Because it shows this
So
over
it shows in the
budget.
red right now.
Right.
So,
So we need
It shows our,
Do we need to take some action on it?
Well, isn't it a budget item in a way?
That we can cover now? You
That's what I'm
mean?
wondering.
Yeah, well, I think so.
I think you can cover it.
Mhm.
Maybe. gotta be done by April 1, right?
Oh, yeah, can't not pay.